No one objected.
Yes. Then there was a report on the 27th of March 2025,
Correct.
and that was a progress report by General Masemula.
Correct.
Yes. And even that report was still consistent with the dissolution.
It was still consistent with the dissolution. A little hitch there was that whereas on the 6th of March we had agreed that no additional cases would be added on PKTT, there was now an additional case. We then said, well, that matter we have to discuss with the National Commissioner, and there was no cancellation of the decision that had been taken on the 6th. There was no reversal. It was merely to note what had happened, and they continued.
Yes. But I mean, throughout this period, I mean, we've referred now to 7 meetings, including a meeting with the President and the President with Parliament, a meeting with Parliament. It was always open for anyone who didn't like what you had done to say you must change course, and you would have changed course.
I definitely would have changed course.
Yes. Now, when is the first time then that there's an explicit public denunciation of the decision?
From the National Commissioner?
From anyone?
Well, as I indicated, firstly, that it was firstly from General
That's not
Mkhwanazi.
explicit because they are
Yes.
having a conversation and you're being told
yes.
by your Chief of Staff.
Not directly, yes. The first one is the 6th of July, where I got it very clear that there is a view contrary to.
What happened on the 6th of July?
We saw a press briefing by Provincial Commissioner General Mkhwanazi making statements around the dissolution and other related aspects.
Yes. Now, the statement that he made, General Mkhwanazi, in that meeting, I've looked at it, well, Ms. Lengane looked at it and told me what it says. But it says that you and Mr. Mokgotsi are receiving financial assistance from Mr. Madlanga, who is an alleged criminal. Makes that explicit statement.
Correct.
I mean, is that true or false?
It's false.
Yes.
It's false. There is no money that I have received, ever received, from Brown Mokgotsi, or he has received together
from
with
Madlanga,
me.
not from
No,
Mokgotsi.
Or from Madlanga.
Yes. What General Mkhwanazi said is that you and Mr. Mokgotsi are receiving money from Mr. Madlanga, who is an alleged criminal.
Oh, it's false.
Yes.
It's false.
Yes.
I'm not part of that. If Mr. Mokgotsi has ever received any money from Mr. Madlanga, that would mean that it was him and him alone receiving whatever he would have received. Myself, I've never asked for any money from Mr. Madlanga. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him on the phone. I've never asked for anything from him. I've never received anything from him.
Yes. And what he then sought to do, General Mkhwanazi, he sought to locate the dissolution of the PKTT in this context of a minister receiving money from a criminal, or an alleged criminal.
I believe that, yes, I'm aware of that.
Yes.
It's a narrative which I would say was choreographed somewhere, but it never found its way to reality. And there's no evidence that that is the case. Because I say, even if somehow they located to the incidents of the 6th where there was a raid in Madlanga's home and all of that, I knew nothing about the raid, the intended raid. I never got any briefing that there was going to be a raid in Madlanga's home and offices and so on. I never received any presentation or report after such a raid. And therefore, to link these two things and the dissolution and me and a person that I'd never met and the happenings in his home or whatever was totally false.
Now, not only did he say that in that press conference, even before this commission, at paragraph 187 of his statement, this is what General Mkhwanazi says. He says, Minister Mchunu, through his associate with Brown Mokhotsi and as corroborated by his chief of staff, Mr. Nkabinde, maintained associations that have confirmed links with the underworld. So he says, you have links with the underworld. And he did that to justify the criticism he had of the dissolution.
That statement is entirely false. One, I'm no associate to Brown Mokhotsi.
Forget about Brown Mokhotsi. Let's just talk about the links with the underworld. That is really the critical statement.
I have no links, and I have never had any link with the so-called underworld in whatever manner.
Yes. And the link that he draws between the dissolution of the task team and this connection, alleged connection with the underworld?
Is false.
Yes. Now,
it is false.
Thank you very much. Now, you've explained what you are trying to achieve, and you've explained that it was widely accepted within the SAPS. There was the question of the comparison with the task team in the Eastern Cape responsible for combating taxi violence. And I was left not sure of if I fully understood your answer. Maybe you could just, for the last time, explain to the commissioners, what do you say about this comparison? Is it a fair comparison, an unfair comparison?
I would say it's a comparison that is fair at the level of principles. In other words, SAPS accepting the existence and the use of task teams, but it is qualified in terms of the work study and in terms of our vision and in terms of what has been adopted and so on, that generally, as a general rule, you will have specialized task team. But then there would be exceptions to that when the need arises, either because of a situation that is beyond such capacity in that particular area, and then you would have a task team. Or in the case of Eastern Cape, but which transpired later, that even the specialized team or the specialized units that we had there in the form of murder and robbery was not as effective as it would. But that was found or established later. But the principle was, the actual initiative was to say, we are seeing taxi violence and related violence growing and growing. Seemingly, the capacity that we have in the Eastern Cape is below what it would take to deal with what we're seeing. Hence, sending a number of people under Major General Zulu after the discussion with National Commissioner. So the difference is that a situation arose in the Eastern Cape around taxi violence. You then say, Major General Zulu must go there within this time frame, with this budget at hand, and that is what they do. Then they found that they have to extend time. They extend time, they deal with this particular problem. The difference with, between that and MPK, that is National Killings, Political Killings Task Team, is that whereas it is a task team, but its length of period, which I'm saying is no longer in keeping with what it was established for in 2018, if you look at figures and if you look at incidents. And even if you look at the 22nd January report of the National Commissioner, even though it comes after I had issued the letter but it confirms, because National Commissioner does say it has fulfilled the mandate for which it was established for. And it even says beyond any doubt, which means that even though I issued the directive, subsequently it was confirmed. Now, you are then saying you have PKTT coexisting with the specialized unit in whatever capacity, but it was not envisaged that you would have a coexistence of a national team coexisting with that particular capacity. That is not what was envisaged, which is now happening. Hence, and in any case, PKTT was never envisaged as a permanent. It was always, yes. Yes.
Unless you still want to add something?
No.
Okay, thank you. I just want to come to the topic of the powers, and it's an issue that the chairperson raised. That basically, as I understand the question that was asked, is it doesn't matter how a structure like the PKTT comes into existence. The power to dissolve it rests exclusively with the National Commissioner. Now, the reason I ask you this is because I'm not asking you to give a legal answer, but to give a practical answer in terms of, at the time you took the decision, what precautionary measures did you take to make sure that it was legally sound?
I had a consultation with Advocate Vusi Pikoli, who happens to be my special advisor.
Yes.
And he responded, and he has since made his response or opinion available to the legal team.
Yes, it's been filed, as I understand, it's been filed with the Commission. But you don't have to go through it. But the only answer is, as a responsible minister, you took precautionary measures to ensure that your decision was legally sound.
I did.
Yes.
That's correct.
Now, there are a couple of small points that I just want to take you through them to make sure that you can clarify. There was a reference to the work study, and it seemed that there was a bit of confusion about page 200 and 201. So if you go to that work study, no, I think it's the Murray report. Yes, it's the Murray report. And particularly, if you turn over the page to 201, the references in paragraph 8.1 and 8.10. The first reference at page 201, have you got it, Minister?
I'm trying to get it.
So just go to 201. Yeah, it should be in the bundle of your annexures.
Page 201.
201, yes.
Yes, I think this is the one. Is it this one? Because this one is 7. I think it is this one. Or in this bundle.
Yeah, in your it's one of the bundles okay. To your statement.
Yeah. This one. 201, yes.
Yes. If you go to paragraph 8.9.
Yes.
There was some confusion here about what this paragraph is about, and you seem to have a particular view that was not shared by the evidence leader. It says, no task teams be established without written and approved documentation from the provincial commissioner indicating the start date and estimated end date, as well as dates for impact analysis on a quarterly basis.
Yes, that's what the statement says.
On a quarterly basis to measure the feasibility of continuation for such teams. So what is being referred to here? I personally cannot work it out what this sentence is about.
What I have since established in terms of, in an effort to clarify this, is that this, as I indicated earlier, it applies to provincial, or it applies to teams that are operating in the province, which, unlike what we did when we were talking with Commissioner Baloyi, it was a question of existence and operating.
Yeah, no, I think that's a different issue that I'm going to come to that issue.
Okay.
Because you are talking about a different document. So this refers to a task team being established without an approval of the provincial commissioner. That's what I don't understand. Is this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What is this talking about?
No, it's talking about what they were doing, because they had decided that, look, let us stop the proliferation of loose and teams, task teams that are not accountable, and so on. They then say, in order to control that, in order to minimize that,
Yes.
no task teams be established without written and approved documentation from the provincial commissioner.
Yes.
It means that at a provincial level, the provincial commissioner must know what task team is being established elsewhere. Say in a district, it can't be established without the provincial commissioner signing and so on, indicating the start and estimated date as all. So it points to provincial task teams because it talks to provincial commissioner and all of it.
But it's about new task teams that will be established in the future.
That they must not, if they get established at all, it can't be without.
Yes. And then 8.10 also was the subject of some confusion. It says current task teams be subjected to an impact analysis by organizational development and strategic management in the province to ensure the feasibility of the existing teams. So what is this talking about? I mean, would this apply to the PKTT?
Now, that's what I was thinking that you were referring to earlier, and said earlier we got entangled in our conversation and got confused.
I understand, but is this about? Would this apply to the PKTT?
It would apply to the provinces to the province in the sense that it talks about current task teams.
Yes.
Now, among the teams that currently existed at the time of the analysis, the PKTT was one of those that were operational in the province. So it talks about current operating task teams, just to
I think you're talking about a different paragraph, which is 6.4.1. Yeah, I think you're talking about 6.4.5.1. I'm still going to go to that at page 191.
Yes.
But what I'm asking about 8.9 and 8.10, they both refer to the provincial commissioner or the organizational development and strategic management in the province.
In the province.
Now, on the first blush, it creates the impression that this is talking about provincial task teams.
Yes, it does.
I understand, but is that correct? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
What it refers to is it talks to all task teams existing in the province.
But okay, that's fine. But if you then go to 6.4.5.1 at page 191, which was also the subject, I think, of lack of clarity. Have you got that, page 191?
Yes.
No, I mean, I appreciate that you didn't write this, and you were not even there at the time it was written. Where is Commissioner Murray at the moment? Is he still within the SAPS?
He's still within SAPS.
All right, well, maybe he can give an affidavit explaining what he was talking about. It says the task teams that are not monitored run rampant for years without determining or accounting for the gap left where the members were taken from, mostly at station level. Task teams found operating in the provinces are as follows. So that's what you wanted to explain. Just explain that, because the reason you have to explain is because the answer you gave to Commissioner Baloyi is not consistent with the answer in your statement at paragraph 41.
Yes.
And it's possible that it's too late in the day, that it's caused by confusion. And that's why it's necessary, because Commissioner Baloyi asked
Yes.
a specific question,
Yes.
and then you gave an answer that differs from your statement.
Yes. The difference is operating in the province as follows. Operating. I think in that situation, what I missed was confusing existence and operating. So it says there, operating in the province, which would be inclusive of PKTT in this instance. And that is what, so that bullet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, from bottom would include PKTT, because
Yes.
it's operating in the province.
Yes, I mean, the other confusion that came up from the answer you gave earlier was you sought to distinguish political matters team from the political killings task team, when your statement actually treats those two as the same thing.
Correct.
But which one is correct?
You mean murder and robbery? Or,
No. If you look there from the bottom,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the phrasing there is political matters team.
Oh, yes.
So when you were asked by Commissioner Baloyi,
Yes.
you said, no, political matters team is not the same thing as the political killings task team.
No,
But-
I should straighten that, because at that time I thought it would refer to things in case of KZL, like 2011, like.
No,
which
I
we
don't need
discussed
an
Yeah.
explanation.
It's
What
the
I-
same. It's the same.
Yes, so the two answers you gave to Commissioner Baloyi are wrong answers. This paragraph 6.4.51 includes the PKTT, that's number one.
It does. Yes.
And then number two, the phrase political matters team is the same as the PKTT.
It is the same.
All right. Thank you
It
very
is the
much.
same. To
Thank you.
correct that. Yes.
Then there's also a problem with some of the evidence you gave on human rights abuses. When it comes to the human rights topic, I wasn't sure what you mean. Let me explain why. The one time you said you took into account human rights abuses flowing from the statements of Mary de Haas and Ms. Mashele. Then on the other, you said you did not take them into account in that context. Now, I couldn't understand what do you mean, because on the one side, those statements are mutually in conflict with one another, and they do not appear to be reconcilable. Can you just explain, this confusion away, because you're now going to leave the commissioners, and I don't want them to be left not knowing what you're saying. They may disagree, but they must at least know what you're saying.
We talked about this for quite some time. I did say, one, I became aware of whatever was sent, either sent to me, in this case by Mary de Haas. I confirmed that I did receive, even though I didn't respond substantively.
That's not where the problem is. The problem is whether you took them into account in your decision making. And it's not about the weight that you gave them.
Yes, I took them. A straightforward answer is that I did take them into consideration, not minding the weight that we ended up speaking about.
Yes, because your statement says that you did take them into account.
Yes.
Yes. Now, there was also something said about about Ms. Mashele. I want to just take you to page 359. Because the point that was made was that she doesn't talk about the PKTT. So if I can take you to, starting at page 359. So if you recall the context to it, you were saying
Yes.
Ms. Mashele raised allegations of human rights violations by the PKTT on her Facebook post, which you, there was a debate, did you take them into account or not? But then the comment that came was that Ms. Mashele did not speak about violations of human rights by the PKTT, okay? Now, if you look at 359, the third paragraph, which starts with Kumalo. Can you read that?
Kumalo has been doing exactly what Richard Mdluli did. He captured crime intelligence by appointing friends and family in strategic positions. Two of his brothers are working at the political task team, victimizing and harassing hardworking members because of their brother in charge.
Because their brother are in charge.
Their brother are in charge.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, to victimize and to harass people, is that a violation of human rights?
It is.
If you then go to page 368, which is another statement by Mashele, by Miss Mashele. Have you got that?
Yes, I've got
And
it.
it's dated the 14th of November, 2024.
Correct.
And what does it say?
It says, quote, how the political task team abused their powers and on instruction of Begicele arrested two forensic investigators who were investigating the corruption at Fort Hare University.
Yes, and then it continues.
Even the National Intervention Unit was part of the Hollywood-style arrest, and the forensic investigators still don't know why they were arrested.
Yes, and then the last paragraph.
The one that starts with the link.
This is the link, yes.
This is the link to a letter Professor Meriti Haas wrote to Parliament and the Minister regarding the resources that were misused to affect the arrest, to effect the arrest.
Now, that reference in the first paragraph to the political task team and Fort Hare University, what reference is that about?
That paragraph is in relation to the activities of the political killings task team in Fort Hare in investigating the alleged criminality.
Yes. And then your statement then specifically refers to the human rights abuses at Fort Hare.
Yes,
in
correct.
relation to the task team.
Correct.
Yes. And specifically references, is it Professor Berger or Ms. Berger?
Ms. Berger.
Yes. Now, at the time you wrote, you were relying on media reports of what she was saying. Is that correct?
Correct.
At the time you issued the instruction.
Correct.
Yes. But she has subsequently filed a statement under oath. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Which is annexed to your bundle as SM16.
Correct.
Yes. I don't want to make you to read this, but she actually makes a harrowing account of what happened to her in the hands of the PKTT at page 404, 405, 406.
Yes, I did make reference yesterday to that.
Yes. If you look at 405, what she says happened to her. She says, I was handcuffed and placed in a police jet with members of the PKTT, the National Intervention Unit, and my co-director, Conrad, who was foot shackled. We arrived in Bisho and observed several members of the police and PKTT taking videos and TikTok videos in front of the police jet while we waited, handcuffed and foot shackled on the runway for the fanfare to end. We drove in convoy to Mtanzane police station where Conrad would be kept on the basis that there was not enough space for both of us in East London, which is where I went instead. Paragraph 55. I went to the toilet to relieve myself, and the toilet would not flush. Members of the NIU and PKTT took turns to lift the toilet seat and ridicule me. I sobbed as I had no reason for being there, arrested, detained, and humiliated. And then it goes on and on. I don't want to read all of them. The allegations get worse and worse. But what do you say as the minister responsible for police when you hear allegations like this?
Well, as I said, I'm very concerned, and I would always be very concerned, because not only is it bad imaging South African police, but it actually is in contravention of a number of prescripts in terms of the conduct of police.
Yes. Then, in this section, the last category you mentioned is paragraph 73.8 of your statement. You don't need to go to it, but I just want to ask you, you said you wanted to talk to us so that we can advise you on how to handle those people who want to speak confidentially.
Yes.
Just give us a sense, because that was one of the questions that were asked by Commissioner Baloyi, to say, look, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's very difficult to make sense of it, because it's very cryptic and, just give us a sense of the broad nature of what these 8 people are saying.
The broad nature of what these people are alleging, they are pointing to activities, or let me say actions, of the National Political Killings Team that could be termed as unlawful in broad terms. Then they point to different...
But what do they say the task team is doing?
Well, it's various activities per person. And they could be construed. I wrote in one of the submissions when we were talking to our lawyers that they could be construed to some of the activities, to activities that defeat the ends of justice, and also criminal activities in nature. That is what I could briefly add on what you asked me to do.
No, that's fine, that's enough. But why do they not want to be known that they are making these allegations?
Each one of them, when I met them, emphasized their personal safety and their fears on personal safety. Some of them actually got physically manhandled, as they allege in their statements at different points, by PKTT, as they allege. And therefore, they have first-hand experience of what happened to them. And some of them allege that they know how PKTTs, they know of certain practices within PKTT that could be construed in the manner that I construed earlier.
Yes, thank you. Now, I want to I think it was a question asked by Commissioner Khumalo, and which again, I think left a little bit of confusion, certainly in my mind. I want to just draw the comparison between SM18 and SM17. Here, I will depend on my junior because she has done this work. Yes. Now, I think the question that was asked is, what was lacking? Yes. So what was lacking in SM18 that you would find in SM17 for you to say SM18 was defective?
Yes. I'm now able to make a direct reference because Commissioner Baloyi was actually direct in finding synergy in both. But I did, and I remember, say that it's in terms of the extent of detail. If you look at page 428, just the purpose and background is quite elaborate. which, if you look at, this is, oh, what is this? If you look at 17, yes, purpose 1, background, that it's all in one page. But if you go to, is it the next page? 128 and 129. And you read, what is this? 1 foot. If you compare, I'm saying post 2022, they were elaborate, quite more. Even though the purpose is found in both, background is found in both, but before 2021, 2022, they were quite elaborate. If you look at SM 17, first page, second page, third page, and even the finances there, 2 pages, and all of that.
Yes, I mean, and on the finances, it's not just the pages, it's also the qualitative assessment of the information.
Yes, to say what for, it's not
The
global.
breakdown of the costing,
It's not globalized.
precisely.
I need some assistance for post 22. Post 22
Go
assessments.
to page 455.
455, yes, that information note. If you look at the information note specifically on SM 18, page 455, the request for financial, it's upfront. That is your starting point. Request for financial authority for 24-25. And of course, in our conversation with Commissioner Kumalo, we did not necessarily refer to this one, but it is there. And that is what I had picked up and I was referring to. Right from page 1, request for financial authority. There's no assessment, there's no report, even on page 2. It's further request for financial authority, 23-24. And it's all just one page. Is it one page? 150. Yes, 151, 152. So it's quite scanty. It just goes to finances, financial requests. This is what I wrote in the statement and I was referring to as a difference, and saying that it smacks of illegitimacy in terms of allocating funds without a proper motivation as it happened before 2021, 2022.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, there was a question towards the end by the evidence leader on the filling of post, that when you instructed a freeze in crime intelligence, you were exceeding your scope. Now, you may or may not have been mistaken in making that decision, but you are a politician. There are legal advisors inside. What steps did you take to make sure that you were acting within your authority?
I subjected, as I indicated, the whole of
Yes.
the draft letter of directives, and I sent the draft to Pikoli, who said he made comments.
Yes.
He made changes where he felt changes needed to be made, and as per the submission. And based on that, I did consult, and I got satisfied that I was within. But in my own view, sometimes the boundary between the two is narrow, but it was a directive. I believe that to be part of my directive, because it was broad. It was not operational.
Yes. You know, what I observed when that debate was taking place is that as a Minister of Police, you operate both under the Public Service Act and under the SAPS Act. And under the Public Service Act, it is your job to employ people.
Even though I,
Yes.
yes, it is. It is, even though I don't, you know,
You mean you don't feel like you employ people? People just get employed?
yes.
All right, thank you. The last question is, Commissioner Baloyi helped us again by asking about the terms of reference. The term of reference that introduces you is item 4, which says that the Commission must investigate the role of any member of the National Executive responsible for the criminal justice system. That would be you.
Yes, correct.
Whether they were complicit, aided and abetted, or participated in the acts listed in paragraphs 1 to 3 above. Now, the acts in paragraph 1 to 3 above include whether criminal syndicates, including but not limited to drug cartels, have infiltrated or exerted undue influence over a number of government departments. So I want to ask you whether or not, as the member of the executive responsible for police, you were complicit in the infiltration of the SAPS by criminal syndicates.
Not at all.
Did you aid or abet the infiltration of criminal syndicates to the SAPS?
Not at all. Not at any point.
Did you participate in the infiltration of the SAPS by criminal syndicates?
Not at all.
Yes. There is something here that says, or did so by omission. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it means if there's something you should have done, but you didn't do, but you should have known that you should have done it. Can you think of anything of the sort? No such allegation has been made, but can you think on your own?
All I can recall are two things. At one point, National Commissioner and Lieutenant General Kumalo briefed me that they were at an advanced stage with the investigation of Lieutenant General Sibia, and also at an advanced stage in terms of investigating Major General Khan. It was quite a confidential briefing, very short to that point. And I said, if they are involved in activities, in unlawful activities, you have my support. I was unequivocal there. I said, you have my support. This was verbal, it was not on the phone. And if anything, if the minister becomes aware via a report like that, if you are complicit, I suppose, you would say, not now, a delay, you would say, but please, you would say, I was unequivocal. And I said, you have my support, go ahead. Not because they were asking for a go ahead, they were just briefing me, but I reinforced them by saying, go ahead. And therefore I deny very emphatically that I could have been found at any level, even before I became Minister of Police, to be complicit on criminal activity at any stage.
There is another minister responsible for law and order, well, for police, that is referenced in your statement. The first one is at paragraph 194. Mr. Begicele's statement in Parliament that Mr. Matlala informed him of a meeting between Mr. Mokgotsi, Mr. Matlala, and me is a lie. What do you say about that?
I mean exactly what I said, because he said he held a meeting with Matlala at Beverly Hills.
Yes.
I'm not contesting that. And then he says, Mr. Matlala informed him that he had been in a meeting with me and together with Mkhotsi. Now, whether he told him that or didn't tell him that, the lie is in the information that suggests that I ever had a meeting with Mr. Matlala, whether with Mr. Mkhotsi or alone. Such an assertion is a lie. It never happened. And I know very well that it has never happened.
And then Mr. Begicele features again in a statement at paragraph 206, where you are now talking about cancelling a tender that was awarded to a company whose shareholder is Mr. Matlala. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Now, in paragraph 206...
Chair, I apologize, Mr. Ngqaitobi, please, I beg your forgiveness. I have bit my tongue for a long time, and on particularly this point that Mr. Ngqaitobi is, quote-unquote, re-examining the witness. None of that evidence has been laid before this commission. The issues that he has spent a significant time speaking to are matters that are to be dealt in the second leg of the inquiry. So I struggle to understand, Chair, how the issues that he's engaged with can possibly even fall under the category of re-examination. Any reader of the transcript will see that none of the testimony in regard to that has been laid. Thank you, Chair. I request the Commissioner's guidance. Thank you.
Mr. Ngqaitobi, I was given to understand that the evidence leaders and the minister's legal representatives had reached an agreement that what would be addressed at this stage would be the disbandment only. I do not quite see, unless you submit otherwise, how paragraph 206 relates to the disbandment.
Mr. Chairman, I will do what the Commission wishes, but it's impossible to separate disbandment from its reasons. The primary reason for the accusation that the disbandment was illegal was that it was motivated by an ulterior motive. It is grossly unfair that the minister is here. This is his first opportunity here, that he does not tell the Commission and the nation that he is innocent of corruption.
How long do you think
this is
you're
the
still
last
going
question.
to be?
No, this is the 206 is the last question.
Just. Mr. Tembe, sorry.
Hayi, ndiyabona sekulate kakhulu ngoku.
Mr. Ngugaitobi, for two reasons, I will disallow the question. One,
Then I have no.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I promise you, you don't need to give any reasons.
Any reason. Thank you.
If
thank
the
you,
order
thank
is to
you.
disallow it, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps on that point is the right place to start.
With what?
The point, Mr.
Yes.
Ngugaitobi's last point, the re-examination issue.
Yes.
And just to highlight that, as the Chair pointed out, there was an agreement.
May I find out to what end you are addressing, seeing that I've already disallowed the question and Mr. Ngugaitobi did not even
No,
want
I'm starting
my reasons for it.
I'm starting at the question and I'm making my way back.
Yeah.
Because his reference to paragraph 208 was not the start of having strayed way beyond re-examination, but it was the end. And I would like to put my point across. The moment Mr. Ngugaitobi's re-examination went beyond the establishment and disestablishment of the PKTT, he went beyond the parameters of the agreement reached. The issues that he raised, there was references to Mr. Matlala, the relationship with Mr. Matlala, with Mr. Mokgotsi, with the contract, I take it as a 360 million subs contract. All those matters appear from page 64 of the minister's statement under the heading allegations of improper motives. And that is precisely where the deal that we struck because of time pressures, we drew the line. Under that heading, it's allegations, alleged association with Mr. Musi Ketmatlala, knowledge of the 6 December 2024 operation, knowledge or involvement in December 24 arrest of Mr. Katiso Molefe, the 360 million subtender, improper relationship with Mr. Brown Mokgotsi, Zamazama issues in Stillfront. It's a whole list of them, half of which Mr. Ngugaitobi has touched on in re-examination, but none of which will be found in the transcript, in the evidence when it was led by Mr. Mtunu. I had to put that on record. And like I said, Chair, I bit my tongue. I resisted. I did not want to disrupt Mr. Ngugaitobi's flow. And I must say, at some point I was a tad desperate, hoping that the commissioners would come to my rescue. But, so what has happened is a topsy-turvy process, permitting Minister Mtunu to be re-examined on evidence, firstly, that was not led. He's got those, his responses to those allegations in the statement. He has not been taken through them. He has not been confronted with any evidence that could be contradicting the position he assumes in his statement. None of that has happened. So now, on record and in public, he's had the opportunity to clear his name in circumstances where the evidence leaders have not fully articulated properly what the concerns about those issues are. It is exceptionally topsy-turvy, but it's all water under the bridge because it has happened. But I understood, and we prepared on the basis that at the second session of the inquiry, which will be in 2026, we pick up the engagement with Minister Mtunu precisely from the allegations of improper motives, and we engage with that. Chair, there is no resolution to my challenge, but it was necessary that I place it on record. Thank you.
Thank you for raising that. Perhaps you should have raised it much earlier, and we too should have stopped Mr. Ngugaitobi much earlier. So we are all at fault.
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I take it that was by way of comment. I would like to engage with some of the issues that Mr. Ngugaitobi dealt with the minister. Yes, in re-examination.
Re-examination after re-examination.
Well, he calls it a re-examination. I'm entitled to test
the matters that you say ought not to have been
No.
raised.
The matters
Those that properly fall
that were
under
properly
re-examination.
Yes.
Does that happen ordinarily?
We call it a re-examination. If you were to have cross-examined a witness put forward by the evidence leaders or the commission, the evidence leaders would have been entitled to re-examine on those issues. It's just that in this process, we call it a re-examination in circumstances where I led the witness. I didn't cross-examine the witness, but yet we call it a re-examination. So it's a misnomer in truth. And I suggest that we should not be hung up on words and titles.
May we take an adjournment, please?
Yes, Chair.
Ms. Sello,
Chair.
a regulation, not rule. Regulation 8(4)B does give you the entitlement after re-examination by the legal representative of a witness to put questions to the witness.
Thank you, Chair.
But it's very late in the day. How long do you think you'll be?
No.
How many issues are you going to address?
If I
And
count
how-
them, they'll sound
one,
like me.
and then two. How long do you think you will be?
If I count them, they'll sound many, but they're very quick. It's a closer, the point about whether or not there was any objection to his directive to shut down the PKTT. That is the only issue. The meetings held from January. There is, the other issue is the Ms. Mashele and Ms. Berger issues, and it just with reference to a specific annexure that Mr. Ngukaidobi brought to the minister's attention, just to point out a minor issue there. Then beyond that, I've dealt with the issue about issues yet to be heard by this commission and on which evidence will be led. So I've disposed of that, and it will just be a comment, literally, on the the point regarding terms of reference. And in fact, I think that point on terms of reference would not exactly be directed to the minister, because if I understood Mr. Nguraidobi correctly, it was not a question he posed to him, but a comment. I think he invited him to give a response. On second thoughts, if I may, Chair, it's late in the day, I'm exhausted. Maybe I'll do it the same way. I will also deal with the terms of reference in the same manner that Mr. Ngaidobi did, and I will put forward my own proposition and invite him for a comment, and that will be it. I'm done.
Thank you. Please,
Thank you.
Please start.
Minister, if I may start with your disbandment letter, and that's your SM20, you remember? SM20 is in your file 2. And I want to refer you to page 477. Four seven seven. Oh, he pulled it out. Apologies, commissioners. I think the minister did not reinsert SM20. Commissioner Baloyi is. Minister Mkunu,
Yes.
Commissioner Baloyi has just come to our rescue so graciously. Just to confirm, the document handed to you is the disestablishment letter that you issued on the 31st of December 2024, correct?
Correct.
I then would like to refer you to page 477 of that letter. 477 of that letter. Page 477.
Yes, correct.
Which is the second page. And to refer you to the last paragraph on that page before you sign. You anticipated, in terms of that paragraph, that a preliminary report will be submitted by the 20th of January 2025.
Correct.
Correct? And a final and closing report by the end of January.
Correct.
That final and closing report can only be filed once the disestablishment is complete, and you anticipated it to end by end of January 2025. Do you have a comment to that?
Not exactly. What it says is that you will give a preliminary report
Yes.
on the 20th or whatever, and then there will then be a meeting of UNESCO where
Apologies, Minister. That's not in the letter. I'm confining myself to what's in the letter.
pardon?
I say I'm confining myself to what is in the letter.
My observation in
Chair, I
this
think the
regard,
witness needs his.
Yeah, I think, Jeremy?
yeah, we run short of a petrol small,
Oh,
but I'm fine. I have this. It's just that you need to raise your voice a bit.
I will.
Yes. Okay.
I hope it doesn't come across as if I'm shouting at you.
Secretary, please locate Mr. Michaels. Oh.
Yeah, thank you. It looks clear. It sounds clear.
I should also remember not to shout now. There, thank you. Is this comfortable?
Yes, I'm very comfortable. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
I had drawn your attention to page 477, and we're dealing with the last paragraph. And I would like us to confine ourselves to the wording of that document.
Yes.
And I pointed out that in terms of that letter, a preliminary report in this regard being the disestablishment of the task team was to be submitted to the minister by the 20th of January 2025, correct?
Correct.
Thereafter, the final and closing report would be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which was to be communicated
Correct.
soon after the issue of that letter.
Correct.
The point I'm making to you is the final and closing report logically only becomes due once the task is completed. And in this regard, the task was the disestablishment of the task team. And I invite your comment to that.
No, it comes after the preliminary report has been submitted.
Yes.
And you would see in the preliminary report, the National Commissioner starts by saying or says somewhere, the letter of your directive is noted, and then it gives the report. So beyond noting is the preliminary report, and beyond the preliminary report, it's then UNESCO. It doesn't necessarily says the final and closing report will come once there has been, in practical terms. I mean, everything will depend on the preliminary report, and then determines the way forward. It doesn't necessarily automatically say that or mean that the task team will have been dissolved by the time we meet at UNESCO.
I understand that what you've just said is in reference to what the preliminary report provided.
Yes.
And I'm not referencing preliminary report, I'm referencing your letter. So the preliminary report could very well have been worded in those terms. And General Masemola, who filed a statement before this commission and testified, and whose statement was made available to you, indicated that after he received your letter, at page 35 of his statement, paragraph 114, he states as follows. Upon his return from leave on the 14th of January, and I quote, "My intention was to discuss the matter with the minister to understand his reasons and attempt to dissuade him. However, the letter contained an instruction to prepare reports that were due by 20 January 2025. If I had refused to carry out this instruction, I would have been accused of insubordination, since all that was required, at least insofar as that instruction was concerned, was a report." That's what he testified to. So that is the preliminary report, correct? The final and closing out report is still due at the end of January.
Correct.
Now, to a question by Mr. Ngugaitobi, whether there was any objection to your directive that PKTT be dissolved or disestablished, you said there wasn't. It was asked of you, had there been, would you have still insisted? And I understood you to say, no, you would not have. Did I understand you correctly?
That no, I wouldn't have done what?
You know you wouldn't have insisted on the disestablishment if there had been any resistance or objection, particularly from the SAPS establishment.
Yes, if the response of the National Commissioner was that, look, I have a problem, 1, 2, 3, or difficulty, I would have been open to a discussion or engagement.
But that's precisely what Annexure SFM 11 to General Masemula's statement, which is the preliminary report. That's precisely what he told you.
What did he tell me?
It argued against disestablishment.
The preliminary report of the
Yes.
22nd.
Of the 22nd, yes.
I don't understand it to have done so.
Okay, it's on record. The commissioners will consider it in the context as I suggest. If anything,
Mr. Chairman, is it not fair that it must be put to the witness and the imputation
Yes,
that is
can
lying
you,
must
can
also
you
be drawn to him?
please be more specific?
I shall. The problem is it arises in a different context, so it's not even part of the exhibit files, so it's not available. Only the statements have been made available as part of the exhibits.
Ms. Silome, maybe if you have it electronically,
Yes, I do.
can it not be projected?
If that would be acceptable to the Commission and to the Minister,
Yeah.
I'll do so. Just a second while I scroll down to the right place.
Is it not SM25? Just check, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. It's correct. It's, the Minister put it up as Annexure SM25. Yes, I confirm it's SM25 starting at page 537 and at 564 is the date of 22/01/2025. Now, as of the 22nd of January, and we know already that about 9 days later, the 31st of January, the final and closeout report is expected. At page 563 of that report, after an argument had been advanced for what General Masemola and the SAPS team considered to be a phased-out approach, perhaps to draw your attention to item Roman 5, The current capacity of the National Task Team will be gradually scaled down to only personnel who are required to finalize the dockets retained by the task team. The scaling down of the team will depend on the 115 case dockets that are currently pending at courts, with most of the court dates in the year 2025. It is anticipated that the team will complete the work before the end of the year 2025. However, the seriousness of the cases and the processes at court will indicate the course of action. So, the report is pleading for breathing space until at least the end of the year 2025. And it's in that context, I say it cannot be that the minister can say that there was no pushback to the notion of disestablishing by end of January 2025, as the letter suggests, by demanding a final and closeout report by then. Do you have a comment?
No,
Ms. Sillo, I might have misunderstood. I thought reference was to an objection to the very idea of a disbandment. I thought that's what Mr. Ngcukaitobi's question related to. I might have misunderstood. And the point you are raising addresses a different issue, which is the phasing a disbandment that is taking place or is to take place gradually. So there is an initial acceptance, as it were, of the disbandment, but gradually.
Chair,
But as I say, I might have misunderstood the question altogether.
Perhaps I misunderstood, but I'll take it on those terms. I had read out General Masemola's statement where he said he intended, when he returned from leave, at paragraph 114 of his statement for the record, where he says, since that letter, the report was to be prepared by the 20th of January 2025, that's the beginning of paragraph 114. Given that I would be on leave until 14 January 2024, I instructed Brigadier Lituko of my office to forward the letter from the minister to all deputy national commissioners to instruct them to prepare the necessary reports. After that, he says, my intention was to discuss the matter with the minister to understand his reasons and attempt to dissuade him. And I interpret that to be to dissuade him from the conclusion and the definitive instruction that disestablishment be concluded by end of January. He says, then he speaks to the preparation. However, the letter contained an instruction to prepare reports that were due by 20th January 2025. If I had refused to carry out this instruction, I would have been accused of insubordination, since all that was required, at least insofar as that instruction was concerned, was a report. My interpretation of what the general is saying is that he doesn't support the whole notion of disestablishment and the requirement for both the preliminary, and I take it, then the final report. However, he seems to have feared that if he failed to carry out that instruction, he would be accused of insubordination. So I don't read what he's saying as I received the instruction, I noted, and I was happy to execute. And
I don't understand that to go beyond what his own thoughts were, because the question relates to what was actually communicated to the minister. So his own ideas or thoughts do not appear to have been communicated to the minister. It does not get to my understanding of Minister Ngcukaitobi's question.
Then it is in that context. Then I read only item 5 of that report. I read that conclusion, because that conclusion, I guess in contract it would be called counteroffer. That counteroffer is wholly inconsistent with what the minister intended to achieve by end of January. And I say at least that report would have indicated that there is no agreement or there is no support for his instruction.
Perhaps purely in the interest of time, I will allow that, but I understand that part to relate to the question of immediacy or otherwise, which is not the same thing that Mr. Ngcukaitobi was raising. Yes.
I'll leave it at that, Chair. I have made the point. It would then lead us to the report of the next report. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Maybe before you do that, let me check something. Minister, General Masemula, in his statement and evidence, said that he spoke to the president. He was unhappy with the decision. That's what he says. And this arises in the light of this conversation, that he spoke to the president about the issue. And he gives a date. He says on the 1st of February 2025, in a meeting. And then he says, during this meeting, I mentioned the minister's decision to disband. The president told me he would speak to the minister. Did that happen? Did you have a conversation? Did the president speak to you on, I don't know when, but the general says he had a meeting with the president on the 1st of February.
Yes, Commissioners, there was a meeting either on the 13th or on the 23rd with the president, which I requested. And in that meeting, the sole purpose was to just brief the president on the developments around that decision to disband. And it did happen.
Well, I think what I'm checking is whether the president, did he alert you or mention to you his conversation with General Masemula, that General Masemula spoke to him about this issue?
No.
The president did not?
No.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, maybe my co-commissioner should clarify the date, because I had understood you to say you briefed the president before this discussion between the president and General Masemula. So, and I see your counsel is nodding, so it looks like our understanding is aligned. So maybe the date should be clarified so that you answer the question fully.
Yes, I wouldn't know when National Commissioner met the president, but I'm referring to myself that it was either the 13th or the 23rd.
In February?
No, in January.
In January?
Yes,
Okay.
mine was in January.
All right. Well, General Masemula says that he met on the 1st of February.
No.
So maybe let me ask my question then. After the 1st of February, or any date from the 1st of February, did the president speak to you or mention to you that General Masemula had spoken to him about the issue of the disbandment?
No.
Thank you, Minister.
Let me just clarify two issues. Your discussion with the president in January 2025. Did you show the president your letter of 31 December 2024?
No, I briefed him about the letter and about why I wrote such a letter. That is what happened. I didn't show him.
And
I spoke about it.
Did you tell him what process you followed before issuing that letter of 31 December 2024?
No.
So for all we know, the president could have assumed that you had discussed it with the people within the SAPS and that was a collective decision.
Well, it's difficult to go into the president's mind.
No, but I'm saying for all we know, because he would have been none the wiser about whether you received briefings and you consulted, because you didn't tell him that part.
Yes, I'm making that statement that I requested a meeting, it was granted, and I briefed him about, one, the fact that I took a decision to dissolve PKTT, and I did so, and I'm hearing that there are some reactions, and this is why I did it. It was just that way of talking.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sir, can I? Minister, I thought in your discussion with Mr. Ngugaitobi, you said that the first time you knew that there was unhappiness was with the press, with a media conference of the 6th of July. I know you referred to Ngabinde telling you, Mr. Ngabinde rather, telling you that he spoke to General Mkhwanazi, but it was a conversation between them. But obviously that's not good enough to take to the president. I thought your evidence is the first time you officially became aware of unhappiness is only in July. But now you're saying when you spoke to the president in January, you already knew there was unhappiness about it. So I'm confused. Maybe I misunderstood something in your evidence.
No, I was referring to that conversation between General General Mkhwanazi and the Chief of Staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. If I then can turn to page 43 of General Masemola's statement, annexure, I think we had it open already, exhibit, yes.
Do I need to go on that?
And it's CJC 53.1 for the record, and at page 43.
What paragraph? The page? Page?
At page 43, paragraph 135.
Ms. Silo, the page itself has 42, 42, and 43.
I think it's the bigger number that appears on, I think it's a recycled document, unfortunately. So, but looking at the rest of the files,
Maybe paragraph number?
135. Have you located the page and paragraph,
Yes,
Minister? Thank you.
Correct.
Paragraph 135 notes as follows. Well, it's a reference to the meeting of the 6th of March that you spoke to earlier, and I think you highlighted in your engagement with Mr. Ngugaitobi. If you go further down on that, in that paragraph, a sixth line from the bottom, General Masemola explains that another presentation was then made on the 6th of March. Remember, we had looked at SFM 11, but this time he says the presentation is SFM 12. And he continues, after Lieutenant General Kumalo presented the briefing note to the minister, the Deputy National Commissioner of Policing and I were in favor of the plan, which, as we understand it, is an improved plan from the previous one of the phase-out approach. But the Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Sibia, and the Chief of Staff of the Minister of Police, Mr. Nkabinde, were against the plan. They were in favor of immediate disbandment. And over leaflet 44, paragraph 136, and this 136, General Masemola notes the following. The minister was adamant in the same meeting and supported by Lieutenant General Sibia and Chief of Staff that the dockets had to be returned to the stations of origin and not to another unit or structure in KZN. The minister also made it clear that the phased-out approach or winding down of the disbandment of the PKTT must be finalized during 2025. Now, I just read out the testimony of General Masemola to point out to you that, Minister, it cannot be said that General Masemola and senior management of SAPS did not express disquiet at the instruction to disband and disband immediately as contained in your letter. Because I had thought that you had reached agreement with Mr. Ndugaitobi that you were wholly unaware that there was resistance or lack of support for your directive. Do you have a comment?
The comment, based on my statement, is that in the report of the 22nd and in the presentations, 5 March, 6 March, there was no objection to the directive. And how National Commissioner made his presentation of a phased approach and all of that was not to say, or didn't amount in any way to saying were against the directive. All it did was to say, we propose that it be done in this particular way. And therefore, I was agreeable to that. As I indicated that any response, I would be open to engagement. There was a report, there was this presentation, I was indeed agreeable to it.
Thank you, Minister. I want then to move on to the next point that Mr. Ndugaitobi covered with you, and this is the issue of the human rights abuse allegations that in your statement originally you had said you had taken...
Before we go there,
yes,
maybe we should complete the exercise. After the 27 March meeting, Minister, General Masemola, General Kumalo say you were angry and you did not want to engage further. And that's the last engagement they had with you regarding the disbandment and the PKTT. Because you were angry with them that they were taking 2 additional dockets. And after that date, you did not engage with them further. Is that correct?
Yes, because the whole process was then taken over by Commissioner National Commissioner Masemola.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if the witness actually understands because there were 2 questions. The one was, were you angry? The other is, did you not consult? Maybe we should just clarify that.
To be fair, I should take you to where the engagement ends. It is paragraph 142 and 143, same bundle. Masemola statement. So let me read paragraph 142. At some point during the meeting, the minister stated that he did not understand why we were so adamant that the PKTT must not be disbanded. Do you see that, Minister?
Yes, I see.
Which means as they were adamant that the PKTT should not be disbanded. That's what General Masemola says. And then it continues, paragraph 143. The minister stated that it took a political decision to establish the PKTT. Therefore, it will take a political decision to disband it. Do you want to comment on that sentence?
143.
Yes. Is that what you said at the meeting?
Yes.
Yes. And then the next sentence, the minister directed that there will be no further meetings regarding the matter and any further engagements would be held with me only as the national commissioner. However, the minister and I had no further engagements regarding the PKTT. But the point of that, and I thought that is what was being put to you by Advocate Sillo, was that you did not understand why they were so adamant that the PKTT should not be disbanded. And you said it took a political decision to establish PKTT. Therefore, it will take a political decision to disband it. And you said you won't have any further engagements with the bigger team. You will only engage with the National Commissioner going forward. But after that meeting, there were no further engagements.
No, this was no longer about disbandment per se, it was about dockets. That there was an additional docket, and I said, but we agreed last time on the 6th of March that there wouldn't be any addition. And I said, this matter I'll discuss with the National Commissioner.
No, but Minister, what I referred to you was paragraph 142, which is specific. They said you did not understand why they were so adamant that the PKTT must not be disbanded. Now, that seems to suggest they did not want the PKTT to be disbanded, and you did not understand why they were so adamant that it should not be disbanded.
It's not accurate, because at no stage was anyone adamant. Remember, we're from the meeting on the 6th. And in principle, we agreed that the phased approach up to 2025, end of the year 2025, will then go ahead. And we said, just check. There were things like, if you say a member will handling a docket, which is in court already.
Minister, I don't want to go into the issue of dockets because then it involves General Sibia.
Okay, no. This is not accurate.
So let's just confine ourselves to those two paragraphs.
It's inaccurate.
And then 143, which you have already confirmed. The only reason why...
Sorry, Commissioner. It is even inaccurate in the sense that in the other page that you went to first talks about Chief of Staff and Sibia, that they were the ones who were talking and saying 1, 2, 3. But at the end of the meeting, when we summarized, the principle of a phased approach was agreed. And then there would be smaller amendments, which we then convened on the 27th to hear and to see.
I wanted to avoid the reference to General Sibia because it raises other issues we don't want to discuss. So lastly, Minister, why would you then say it took a political decision to establish PKTT, therefore it will take a political decision to disband it? If there was agreement that it should be disbanded, or at least there was no opposition, why would you say it took a political decision to establish, therefore it will take a political decision to disband? What would be the point of that statement?
Possibly it was during the conversation. I don't know whether before, at what point during the meeting that remark was made, or what it was clarifying. And to me, it doesn't indicate anything beyond. It doesn't indicate that there was necessarily any resistance. I don't want to be untruthful here, to say at any point General Masimula resisted or he objected, because I wouldn't have evidence to say what is it that he did, what is it that he said that showed what I'm talking about. This must have been a conversation rather than an objection as I'm talking about.
And without taking any further time, you can confirm how the engagement concludes. On the next page, the first 3 lines?
Yes.
Is that how it concluded?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. I was ready to move on to the next issue, and this is the issue of the human rights abuse and the accounts by Ms. Mashele and Ms. Berger. Mr. Nkaitobi took you through that, you recall?
Yes.
Now, in my recollection, when we were leading your evidence and we referenced Ms. Mashele's claims, you disavowed any reliance on any of her postings where she made the allegations that she did. Do you recall that?
I recall that.
And as a consequence, because of that disavowal, we never engaged with the content of her posts. Is that correct? Because you said, I did not rely on them. You offered information that you had cause for investigation into her to be conducted, and you drew the conclusion, whatever conclusion, I don't remember the detail thereof that you drew, but effectively that you can't rely on her. So you never relied on her in considering the issue of disbanding the political killing task team. That was my understanding of your evidence today.
We then came back.
Apologies?
We then came back to the house, and at the time when I was led by Senior Counsel
Yes.
Toby, we went back to that statement.
Indeed.
And he asked me to clarify exactly what my position is.
Yes.
Because on one hand, I did say I would receive, or I received, and I read what she was saying in whatever media front. And at the end of the day, that reading, that even if I didn't react to it by writing back and so on, the fact of the matter is I read and looked at all, and I made an example of Madlanga and so on. The effect of it in what I mean, what I meant when I was asked to finally clarify that, I did say and I did acknowledge that I did get influenced by that. In other words, the fact that I read and I understood what she was saying, and it would mean that in some way or the other, and we even spoke about the weight, and I'm removing the issue of waiting. Somebody said, so in the waiting, you would put it and so on. And I said, yes. But it wasn't necessarily to say, and this is what I corrected, that kind of confusion that ensued in our conversation. So my final statement and position is that I did read. And because I did read in one way or the other, it would have played a role in what I indicated in those paragraphs on human rights.
Minister, the record will show, it's a running transcript, it will show that you unequivocally disavowed any reliance on those Facebook posts when I was leading you. It is as a result of that the issue of weight arises, and I'll remind you, it arises in this context. If you did not consider them at all, if they did not sway your view about PKTT and whether or not to disband, what weight are you suggesting the Commission should attach to them? That is the context in which the weight issue came up, not what weighting you gave. Secondly, I put it to you that your response to Mr. Ngugaitobe does not amount to clarification. You have changed your evidence in totality as regards the influence that those posts had on your decision. Do you have a comment on that?
I would want to take us back to the statement, because the issue of clarifying arose from what I said in our conversation and what is in the statement, to say it is confusing. And because there's something that I wrote here about those, what I read on Facebook and elsewhere, and what I read about De Haas and Ms. Becker, to say it can be, because it's here in the statement. That is what I was clarifying, to say, well, I may as well acknowledge in the clarification that those things that I read would have played a role.
It's late in the day, and I think we are all exhausted. I'll rely on the record in this regard, but I will point out to you, you have today testified on the same issue, and you have assumed two contradictory positions. And you flipped on your original position when Mr. Ngugaitobi sought quote-unquote clarity. In fact, I sought to engage you on Ms. Mashele's posts and their content precisely because of what you have stated in your statement. I was taking you there when you assured this commission that they played no role at all in your decision. I'll leave that point there. The record will speak for itself.
I'm not contesting the record. What I'm saying is that in the statement, I acknowledge that I said 1, 2, 3 in the written statement. And in the conversation between you and me, what happened, and not you and me, in the conversation about this in the commission, I said something that is not necessarily what I said here. I acknowledge afterwards. And then I sought to clarify what exactly I want to say about that. So it's not a question of contesting what is on record.
I note, thank you, Minister. I then want to move to the question of Ms. Berger, and you deal with that at your page 32, you recall, of your statement. And in that statement, to Commissioner Baloyi's questioning, you
Page 32 of my
of
statement.
your statement, yes.
32.
32. You indicated that, and here I think you indicated that you were not relying as well on what Ms. Berger had stated. And if I'm wrong, the record will disprove me, but that's not my point. In seeking clarification from you, Mr. Ngugaitobi referred you to annexure SM16, correct? That's your annexure, and it's volume 2, and annexure 16 starts at page 3. Yes, 339. And that, he explained, and we know from page 427, is the affidavit of Sarah Pearl Berger. Do you confirm that at 427? At page 427, that's her signature, Ms. Berger's signature?
Yes.
And I see that that affidavit was deposed to and sworn to on the 26th of September 2025. If you see the date there,
Yes.
you see it. So we can discount the contents of this document as having informed your decision of the 31st of December 2024 for the simple reason that it did not exist at the time. Can you accept that? At the time you took the decision, on the 31st of December 2024, Ms.
This
Berger's
document, yeah.
affidavit did not exist because
Yes,
it only
this
came
document.
into existence on the 26th of September 2025.
Yes,
Yes.
it didn't exist as such.
Yeah, so it cannot have, you
But-
cannot have taken that into consideration in making your decision of the 31st of December 2024.
Except to say reports.
I would like to confine my question to the affidavit for the moment, Minister. So either you took the affidavit into consideration or you didn't.
This
Yes.
affidavit.
Yes.
No, I'm saying,
Minister, look this way. Thank you.
Yes.
The
Sorry.
question that is being asked is that this affidavit did not exist on 31 December 2024. So when you took your decision on 31 December 2024, you did not consider this affidavit.
I'm trying to check the first dates that it appeared or anything about Ms. Becker appeared in the media, because there may be a difference between this affidavit and the appearance of the story about it. I'm trying to check what is
No. Minister, let's focus only on the affidavit.
Okay.
This affidavit did not exist
Okay.
on 31 December 2024.
Okay.
So you could not have taken the affidavit into account. You may have taken something else into account. It was just not this
Not
affidavit.
this affidavit.
Yes. So let's
Point
leave that
taken.
there.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo, and thank you, Minister, for that clear response. What you took into account is actually set out in your statement from page 32. And from paragraph 87 to paragraph 89, you actually quote two newspaper clippings, an article published by Daily Maverick on the 20th May 2024 regarding the arrest of two lawyers, and you deal with that from your paragraph 90, you see that.
Yes.
If we move forward to page 34, there is another article you reference dated the 21st by EWN, dated the 21st of May 2024. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's turn back to the first article. And at page 33,
I see that.
it states, in what the pair described as, quote unquote, an unnecessary dramatic show, Berger and Conradi were arrested on 28 March by about 24 members of the National Task Force and the National Intervention Unit. You see that?
Yes.
They were flown to East London in a private jet.
Yes.
I have looked at the remainder of that article as you have quoted it. I don't see a reference to PKTT. I'm correct that there is no reference to PKTT in that article, because that article claims that the arrest was effected by the National Task Force and National Intervention Unit, both of which I am confident you are familiar with. They are units within SAPS, but they are not the PKTT. Am I correct?
These articles, I'm trying to see what she actually claimed herself.
I may have missed the reference to PKTT, but I couldn't find it.
Okay. I see that.
I beg your pardon?
I see what you're saying.
Also, you see in a sense that you confirm there is no reference to PKTT.
In that article.
Yes. Now, at paragraph 92, you introduced the second article I referenced, the EWN article of 21st May 2024. In that article, the opening line reads as follows. The following month, Berger and Horizon's owner, Bradley Conradi, were arrested by the Hawks and flown by a private jet to East London. I looked through the remainder of that article as well, and I don't see reference to PKTT. Am I reading it correctly?
I don't see that as well. I see Hawks, reference to
As the Hawks. And once again, the Hawks is a different unit within
Yes.
SAPS. Yes.
Yes.
The only time one sees the PKTT is at your paragraph 95, page 35. And now those are your words. You introduce a PKTT by saying, it is now public knowledge that Ms. Berger has since requested to give evidence before Madlanga Commission about the abuse and violation of her rights perpetuated by the members of the NPKTT during her arrest. And now we know that the NPKTT, according to the articles you rely on, the arrests were effected by STF, NIU on the one occasion and the Hawks on the other occasion. Now, I'm not going to, I don't want to open the debate of the accuracy of the article, but I'm saying that is the article as you had it on the 31st of December 2024, and that's what you took into consideration. Correct?
Yes, I see.
If you did, notwithstanding the fact that to Commissioner Baloyi, you had indicated you had not. I refer you to this merely to point out that what the clarification you provided to Mr. Ngugaitobe was in truth not a clarification, but an amendment of the actual content of the news clippings as you have quoted them and had relied on them in December. Do you have a comment?
For sure, I would need to check whether the referencing was correct in terms of the articles, but I agree.
Okay. Then the last issue was you were referred to both SM17 and SM18, and perhaps I didn't quite understand what clarity was sought from you. And you made a comparison of the two, and you said I think it was a question about the level of detail that's contained in the one and not the other, if my note is not deceiving me. Do you recall, do you remember that to have been?
I think with regard to the one at 455, as I understood it, there was emphasis on opening in the header with request as opposed to how the other one opens. And then, of course, I'm sure there would have been something with regard to the content as well. But there was some emphasis about or on open code request, close code. I hope I understood correctly.
The chair was trying to help me there, or tried to help me, and I think he probably is correct. So your issue really is about the difference in the level of detail provided in each case. I don't know if I'm at the right one, because the one at SM17 is the 2018 information note. Minister, do you recall if you were referred to 18 and... Mr. Ngugaitobe, are you able to assist? Because now I seem to have gotten my numbering wrong.
Yeah, no, I can help. So it's SM17 and 18. SM17 is 428.
Yes, 428.
Yes, and then SM18 is 455.
Okay. Now
So those are the 2 pages you just need to keep your finger on.
Yes, thank you for that. I thought that's what was said, and then I proceeded to confuse myself. Sorry for confusing you, Minister. The information note, as I read it on SM17, from the heading, if you can confirm, it's implementation plan, investigation of political related cases, KwaZulu-Natal, from 2018-07-01 to 2018-12-31. Do you see where I'm reading?
Yes,
And you'll confirm that that date, or that period, was actually shortly after the establishment of the IMC.
yes,
And this is a funding request by the task team for funding when it started the work. It's in 2018. Do you also read it that way?
yes,
And if we go to SM 18, that information note as a heading, request for financial authority for 2024-25, and refers to the National Task Team as well, the PKT team. Provided in either document, and you say it's not the same, the one is extensive and the other is not.
correct.
Just to check, what would be the challenge with that?
There was no challenge. It was merely to point out that the difference is in relation to the extension vis-a-vis request for money, for funding.
Indeed.
That was the issue.
In fact, I was not off the mark because SM 17 is made up of a few documents. The actual document that Mr. Ngugaitobi referred you to is at 446. That is the document that was compared with SM 18, if you go to page 446. And you pointed out that the heading of this one at 446 is progress report and request for project extension. Do you see that heading?
Yes,
You then compared it with SM 18 at 455. That was the exercise that was undertaken.
we compared SM 17.
SM 17, but only from 446, because the entire SM 17 starts with other documents from 428. The page that Mr. Ngugaitobi directed you to is 446. So those were the two documents you compared. And both are information notes. The one is headed Progress Report and Request for Project Extension.
446 is 2021.
2021, yes, 23rd March 2021.
Yes.
Correct. Then you compared it with the one appearing at 445. 455, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
And that is now for 2024-25.
Yes.
And so we looked at the heading of the one at 446. We know that it says it's a progress report and request for project extension. But the one on 455 doesn't, the heading doesn't read that thus. I really concede. It states request for financial authority for 24-25.
Correct.
Now, it was suggested, or I understood that it was suggested to you, and maybe I'm wrong, that there was no extension in 2024-25, and I thought you agreed. Am I correct or
Correct.
I misheard?
Correct.
If you, yes, 24-25. If you look at, stay at 455, to the bottom of that page, item 5, I read that note, the following on that note: the decision has been taken to extend the period of the National Task Team and the appointment of Lieutenant General S.D. Kumalo as the project manager for financial year 2024-25 due to the following reasons, and then overleaf it starts and tabulates reasons. So this one at 455, request for financial authority, and confirms in the body of the document that that decision to extend has already been granted. Do you still maintain that there was no extension?
Yes, if you look at that information note,
Yes.
it talks about financial requests. That is the point that we're making.
Yes.
It doesn't talk about extension, doesn't give any report as the other reports would have done.
It doesn't give reports. And I suggest that it doesn't do so because the extension had already been granted. This one is specifically for financial authority, as opposed to the other one, which was for extension, and therefore to justify extension, it provides a more extensive report and then requests for financial support. What's your comment to that?
Is that this is what I was referring to, this is what I had access to without that report spoken about, but this is what I have.
Okay. And lastly, you remember when I started, I hadn't made up my mind whether it's a question or a comment. It was suggested regarding the terms of reference. And Mr. Ngugaidobi read out the term of reference that he considers relevant to you by virtue of the position you occupy, being a member of the executive. You recall that?
Yes.
And would you accept that whether or not that particular term of reference has been met cannot be determined at this juncture because even you haven't concluded your evidence before the commission? It can only come into consideration once at least your evidence has been concluded, and we are not there yet. Would you accept that?
No, he asked me a specific question, and I responded to it,
Yes.
despite the fact that evidence had not been led.
Yes.
Yes, and I responded,
Okay.
yes,
And I think the record fairly shows what your response was.
yes.
Chair, those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sello.
Minister, just two short clarifications. The one and it may well be that I misunderstood your discussion with Mr. Ngugaidobi. It's about the involvement of Mr. Pikoli. You have filed an affidavit from him. Now, in your statement, I will read for you what you said at paragraph 162. You say, before finalizing the directive of 31 December, I sent the draft to my special advisor for his inputs and comments. That's what you say, and that's what you said in your oral evidence. And then you say this was part of an ordinary internal quality assurance process within the ministry. And then he reviewed the draft and he sent back to you, and I would like to read that into the record. And then I'll check whether my understanding of what you said is correct. He writes, you quote, "Thank you, Minister. May I suggest the following possible amendments? At paragraph 2, to substitute the sentence starting with National Commissioner must develop a new plan, close quote, with the following, open quote again, I, in terms of section 2072, direct that you develop a new plan, close quote." And then you quote again, you say, he said, at paragraph 2.1, you say this is what he said, insertion or addition of ports of entry and exit. And then you refer to at para 2.2, he said comprehensive operational and remedial action plan based on a policy of rotation of staff members. And then lastly, you quote him as saying, I'm happy with the rest. And then he says something in Portuguese. I will not try to say it. In English, I think it says a happy and prosperous new year. I have understood when you testified that this is the sum of Mr. Pikoli's involvement with your letter. You wrote the letter yourself. You told us that. I wrote the letter myself, and then I sent it to him. Am I correct in that understanding?
That's correct.
Okay. So there is no separate act where you asked him for advice on this letter. The sum of his involvement is what you describe at 162, where you say you sent it for his inputs and comments, and then he responded that way. That's the sum of Mr. Pikoli's involvement in this letter.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Now, where he says in his affidavit, I guess maybe let me not even go to his affidavit. I think you've answered me. And then lastly, this one really, it's for me to not leave this place confused about what in fact is the position, and whoever has been listening to evidence. Now, you said to Mr. Toby that the PKTT, and I'm not quoting you verbatim, does cold cases in fact. You remember you said something to that effect. That's what the PKTT does. It deals with cold cases. Did I mishear you? If I misheard you, please say so, and I'll stand corrected.
I did make reference to say in a chat with the former National Commissioner, he made mention of cold cases, saying, by and large, what PKTT deals with is cold cases.
Okay. You were not saying that's all that they deal with?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm clarified. Thank you. Chair, thank you.
Minister,
Yes.
thank you very much. We will adjourn and we will resume in the new year on a date to be announced. Thank you very much to everybody gathered here.